السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. أحمدك ربي واستعين بك واستهديك واستغفرك وأصلي وأسلم على خير خلقك سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم على آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين. All praises are due to Allah, the one and only. I bear witness there is no God or deity worthy of worship except Allah, the one and only, the creator of the heavens, the earth, what's in them, what's between them, and what's beyond them. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen that He has created us as Muslims. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen that you are born in Ummat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We bear witness that He is the last messenger of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to humanity, with whom Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has sealed the house of prophecy, with whom He has sent him with the guidance, with the true religion, and with the way to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Whoever believes in Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, follows His teaching, and follows the Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is among the winners. As Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has said in Surah Al-Mu'minun, the believers, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has indeed are successful the believers. So if you are a believer, you believe in Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and His Messenger, then you're among the successful ones. Man or woman, brother or sister, and we need to teach ourselves and our spouses, our children, and the mothers in our homes have a great responsibility to guide our children towards Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the love of Allah, the love of His Prophet, and how when we do things, we do it to please Allah, to follow the Sunnah, to make sure that we as Muslims are the example to others to look up to. Dear brothers, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says in the Quran, wal asr, and He is swearing by the time. Inna al-insana lafi khusr. All mankind are in loss. So Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has told us that anyone and every single human being that He has created is a loss, with one exception. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Except those who believe, men and women, those who engage in doing the good deeds that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has ordained them to do, according to the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and they recommend to one another patience. There is a lot of adversity in life. There is a lot of things that we might not think it is going the way they should go based on our knowledge. And our knowledge is very limited. The knowledge of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is vast. He knows everything before He has created it. He knows what we need to do, who's going to be the pious, who's going to follow His book and the Sunnah of His Messenger, and who will be the one that will take less and less of it until he goes to totally disengaging from Allah and His Messenger and going about his life. Dear brothers, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has set so many rules in this world. But the one thing that we all should ponder on and reflect on is what Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has called our life. He has called it al-hayat al-dunya, the lower life. So Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, even though there is a lot of people that we look upon and they are very successful, materially very successful, and they are enjoying all sorts of great things that we think in life. Food, water, houses, trips, travel, prominence, everything you could think of. And a lot of us are amazed why. And remember, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has given this life and has given rules in it and has given means. And whoever go by the means that Allah has set in the material things, Allah is bound to reward him by his hard work. Does not necessarily mean that he loves him or he loves her. It means that he has applied the rules that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has set in His universe, and based on that, he has achieved the goals that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed him to achieve. Remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ, and none of them will ever attain any knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow them to have. So there is a lot of things in this universe that we'll never know anything about. There is a lot of angels in this universe that don't know even that we exist. Only the angels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created and has asked them to bow to Adam, our father, when he was first born, first created, that know that we exist. So dear brothers, there's a lot of things that we need to realize. We need to realize that the closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to the book of Allah, to the sunnah of His messenger, the happier we are. The farther away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah of His messenger, the more miserable we are, no matter how much money and fame we have. Among the things the ulama has said, the Shaykh al-Sha'rawi, may Allah have mercy on him, he said, if your life gets complicated, then look at the manual. And he refers to the manual as the Quran and the Sunnah. How far are you from the Quran? How far are you from the Sunnah? What laws have you broken out of the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that rendered you as a human being, man or woman, in that situation of hardship or misery? So, dear brothers, before we blame anyone else, we have to look into our own deeds. Before we look at anything else, we have to look at ourselves. Before we point our finger to someone that has not done right by us, we have to see if we have done right by ourselves by believing in Allah and His Messenger. So dear brothers, if you want to live a life, a true life, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that وَلَلدَّارُ الْآخِرَةِ هِيَ الْحَيَوَانُ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ, and the end life, the eternal life, is the true life if the mankind were to know about it. So dear brothers, among the things that the Prophet ﷺ has said in the hadith, مَنْ أَحَبَّ لِقَاءَ اللَّهِ أَحَبَّ اللَّهُ لِقَاءَهُ وَمَنْ كَرِهَ لِقَاءَ اللَّهِ كَرِهَ اللَّهُ لِقَاءَهُ. Whoever loves to meet Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would love to meet him or her. And whoever hates to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would hate to meet him. And his companion around him told him, Ya Rasulullah, we all love to meet Allah, but none of us wish to die. So they thought the Prophet ﷺ is speaking about death. And the Prophet ﷺ was not speaking about that. And he explained it to them that whoever brings forth the deeds that Allah loves, according to the sunnah of Muhammad ﷺ, Allah would love to meet him, and that Muslim or Muslimah will come to Allah wanting to meet him and to get his reward for a life spent in the worship of Allah. And the opposite is true. Whoever disregarded the book of Allah, who has disregarded the sunnah of His Messenger ﷺ, whoever came with the bad deeds, didn't care about doing anything, didn't care about doing his salah or his zakah or his sadaqah or saying la ilaha illallah, living by it, or having the means and not going to Hajj and Umrah, then he will come at the day of judgment with empty-handed. Not only empty-handed, but on the opposite, instead of coming with good deeds, he's coming with a very heavy load of bad deeds. And this is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran, Nasullah, those who has forgotten Allah, forgetting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only source that is eternal, that no matter how long you live, you will die and then you will be resurrected and you will face everything that you have done. كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ رَهِينًا. Every single soul that Allah has created is hostage to its own deeds. Whether he or she will be standing at the day of judgment having his book in front of him and all of his deeds are in front of him or her. Dear brothers, we have to use this life to be happy. And happiness, most people see it by material means. And that is nothing wrong with that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants every believer, man or woman, to live a good life. As long as that life doesn't distract him from the main goal, from the main purpose of living. And the main purpose of living, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. And I have only created jinn and mankind for them to worship me. So dear brothers, we have to learn that our goal in life is to worship Allah. And the end goal that we all are seeking to get to is Jannah, paradise. So all the goals that you set for your life to advance your cause in your career are great. But put those goals right along with the main goal that you are trying to achieve, which is Jannah. They have to be going in the same direction. Your goals in life cannot be contradicting your end goal, because the end result is either Jannah or hellfire. And inshallah, we all are seeking, and not only seeking, but working towards Jannah. Dear brothers, let's all think about loving Allah. Let's all think about obeying Allah. Let's all think about running the course that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained for us. And this is one of the things that we all only have to learn. And learn from Allah, and learn from the Quran, and learn from Surah Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, the most beneficent. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first ayah was Ar-Rahman. Nobody ever disputes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful upon His beloved ones and upon His enemies. But the second surah, the second ayah of the surah is Allama al-Quran. He has taught the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already set the manual for mankind to be successful in their life before He has created man. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from all of us to live that righteous life, the life that would bring us close to Him, close to His mercy, close to His reward, a better life in this earth and in the hereafter. We would love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by listening to Allah. And when you hear throughout and read throughout the Quran, that when Allah speaks to any of His creation, they are listening to Him. Before the order comes in, before the order comes in, that earth and this heaven obeys the order of Allah. Remember, the one important thing that the Sahaba had in their attitude towards Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they were always keen to apply and learn the Quran and learn the Sunnah and apply all of that in their life. And they wanted to hear from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when the Prophet talked, they didn't go back and try to argue with him. They tried to understand why the command came in, and they applied it even if they didn't understand it. And if He were to ask them to make dua, they will make the dua without even knowing the purpose of that dua. And the reason is they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they love His Messenger, and they love to meet Him, and they love to meet both of them. Dear brothers and sisters, I'll make dua. Say Ameen after me. Allahumma aghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat wal muslimina wal muslimat al-ahya'i minhum wal amwat innaka qareebun mujibun sami'ud da'awat. اللهم اعز الاسلام وانصر المسلمين اللهم اعلي بفضلك كلمة الحق والدين اللهم اجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا ونور صدورنا وجلاء همومنا واحزاننا اللهم ذكرنا منه ما نسينا وعلمنا منه ما جهلنا وارزقنا حق تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وتسليما ربنا اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين.